Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Love is more than a feeling. It's a connection, a bond, a look, and yes, even a tail wag. And the Pedigree brand believes love can happen at first sight. In fact, it's closer than you think. So, if you're looking for love, look in all the right places by joining the Pedigree Adoption Drive at your local dog shelter on June 7th to 9th. And Pedigree will reimburse your dog adoption fees. Visit pedigree.com/adoption-drive to learn more and see full terms and conditions.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun.
Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. This is Thursday's edition here on Giants.com, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I'm Paul Dottino. He's two-time Super Bowl champ Jonathan Casillas. So glad you could join us again today because, man, we're going to make this a caller-centric phone call. Caller-centered show.
There you
Not
go.
phone call, show.
I know what you meant.
I'm so excited about today that I'm stumbling over my words. Here's the reason, folks, because as you probably are aware, over the last 48 hours, a lot of stuff has been coming out of this building, whether it's the 100th season celebration, which is going to begin this September, or the fact that the commemorative uniforms have now been released to the public, and you guys now see that. Or the schedule, which is now out, and I don't think you guys have really had an opportunity to talk about that either. So we got a whole litany, a palette, if you will, of big blotches of paint. You can go anywhere you like. You can go to the red, the blue, the green, the orange, whatever you got. Blotches of paint all over the palette. And we invite you to call us at 201-939-4513. I want to go rapid fire, and I want to make this your chance to react to the news of the last 48 hours because so much has happened in the world of the New York Football Giants. Our number is 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Now, let's talk for a moment, Jonathan, before we get to our calls. And the lines are open, so please dial us up. We'll get to you as soon as we possibly can because, again, I want to make this show about you guys. The uniforms. This is a tribute to the heritage and the history and the tradition of the New York Football Giants. For those of you who've had a quick glance at the uniforms that you can find on the Giants website at Giants.com and all of their social media platforms, one of the panels has a complete explanation for what the uniform actually stands for. The other ones don't. So I want to draw your attention to this one particular one because it talks about the 1933 jersey that they're using, which is basically red with a big blue stripe across the chest, which has the number on it, and then thinner white stripes sandwiching the blue stripe horizontally across the chest. That's from the 1933 New York Football Giants. The helmet, which looks very similar to the Wolverine helmet from University of Michigan.
Yep.
That's the 1938 helmet. It's blue with the red Wolverine-type claw on the front of it. The pants and the socks, which are a light tan with primarily red socks, but again in the design with the stripes of the shirt or the jersey, they come from the 1925 Giants. Now, the significance, of course, there is 1925 was the first year of the New York Football Giants. So this is what the Giants have done. They are paying tribute and homage to their history and basically their first decade of football. Now, to those of you who don't understand a lot of the uniform history with this team, and Jonathan, this probably will be news to you because I don't think players pay much attention to this stuff. A couple of items. First of all, the Giants did have primarily red in their uniforms until the early to mid 50s. It was only then that they decided to minimize the red and truly become big blue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the reason for it. I never actually asked Wellington Mara while he was still with us why that happened. I always grew up with the Giants being big blue, and to be frank with you, until I started to study the history of the team, didn't know that red was a big deal for them.
Yeah.
So that's number one, okay? Red was a primary color for this team, again, till the early to mid-50s. In 1957, the National Football League put in a rule. We're going to have home jerseys and we're going to have road jerseys. Up until that time, you could have 2, 3, 4 different jerseys, and you just changed them and put on whatever you wanted to that week. But in 57, they said, no. You're going to have your primary white jersey is your road. You're going to have your primary color jersey, your home. And that's the way it stood for decades and decades on end until some years ago, the NFL started to experiment with the alternates and the throwbacks. And if you recall for a while there, right, the Giants were wearing all red tops for a few years.
Yep.
That was
that a standard home jersey for the Giants? The
well,
red?
At one point it was.
It was?
At one point it was. Oh, yeah.
And now, my question, because you said in 1957, the rules changed, basically saying you got to have a darker color home jersey.
You
right?
have to have a colored home jersey.
A colored home jersey, and then a white
and a white
jersey.
road jersey.
So when did it change? Because I know Miami, they go white. Right. I know Dallas goes white at home. When did that change? Or was that just saying you got to have a designated home jersey?
Right. Well, specifically with Dallas and with Miami, part of the reason was because they played in the South where it was really hot.
Yeah, it makes sense why they do it.
They asked, can we have our designated jersey the opposite way?
Right.
And that's why that happened.
Right.
Dallas became home whites.
But it's
Miami was home whites.
But if you think about it, though, it puts them in an interesting category because most teams have darker color jerseys at home, which forces the away team to wear white jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
So Dallas and Miami not only are wearing white jerseys at home, but because everybody else has darker colors at their home, they're wearing white all year long. You know what I mean?
Well, Parcells, when he became head coach of the Giants for the first several years, he believed that the dark Cowboys jersey was a jinx on them because for quite a while,
the navy blue one, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a great record with that blue jersey. So Parcells would tell the Giants, we're wearing our whites at Giant Stadium
to get Dallas to wear
force
blue.
Dallas to wear their blues.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill was very superstitious.
Oh, yeah. A lot of coaches are like that, too.
Ultra superstitious.
Yeah. I'm not like that. I'm not superstitious, but there is something into when the Giants are wearing these throwbacks and if the Giants win. Because for me, I'm indecisive about how I feel about them, and I don't love them. You know, I think they can look good, but I tell you what, the Giants,
they look great when you win.
That was the point I was going to make. If they win, especially if it's a good win against a good team, quality win, I'm pretty sure these jerseys are going to be worn at home. So it's going to be a good team that they're hosting.
They'll wear them up. They can wear them up to twice, by the way.
Have they told us what
they have not designated?
Yet?
As I understand it, I don't believe that was designated.
So
yet.
Definitely not going to be week 1 for sure, right? They're not going to do it week 1.
I don't know that.
But no teams go throwback week 1, right? Pearson, no team goes throwback week 1.
You know what? I don't want to misspeak here, so I'm going to go right to the Giants website right now. I know they did identify that they can wear them up to twice during the course of the season.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. They haven't designated any
The
games
dates have not been designated.
And the second game is definitely predicated on the win or loss of the first game. I mean, that's just my guess.
Okay.
Because if they lose wearing these jerseys, and if they lose handily, these jerseys going in the trash. They're not breaking them back out, dog. They're not doing it, man. They're not doing it. And you know, Dayball's like that, though. Dayball is like that. Dayball, he has these things of he does certain things. I think he was eating lunch on Fridays or something like that. And then I went in and eat with him. And then we won. And he was like, JC, you got to come eat with me again. He's like that. So I'm 100% sure whenever the Giants do decide to wear these throwbacks, however we feel about them, right? I'm indecisive about them. If they win, they'll wear them the second time. If they lose, throw them in the trash. They might not ever see them again. I'm just saying.
I will say this. I get a bad feeling every time I see people wearing the throwback logo from the 1975 season. Now, to explain, 1975 is the one year that the Giants shared Shea Stadium with the Jets. They had played in the Yale Bowl, after their second home game of the 73 season at Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium was going to be renovated. They kicked the Giants out of Yankee Stadium. The Yankees went to the Yale Bowl, and they played the rest of the 73 home games at the Yale Bowl in Connecticut, and in 74 at the Yale Bowl in Connecticut. Though that's the darkest age of Giants football. So in 75, they come back to New York, but Giants Stadium isn't ready yet in the Meadowlands. So they go to the city of New York, and they're like, well, where are we going to go? Oh, okay, you're going to play at Shea Stadium where the Jets play. So for 1 year.
The Jets were already playing at Shea Stadium?
The Jets have been playing at Shea Stadium the whole time. That was their home.
I didn't know that.
That was their home.
Okay.
And so in 75, the Giants became a tenant of Shea. And in that year, they wore what is now, and I can't show you, I'm sure you've seen it though, it was called the Disco NY. It was the N. It was the N with the Y, and it was like a double or triple. It was a double NY. Go take a look. 1975 Giants logo. It was a double NY. It became known as the Disco Giants logo. Well, the reason that I don't like seeing that when I see throwbacks and people have that on is because that was a horrific season.
This one?
That's the one. The
Okay.
double NY.
I've seen it before. I think I have a hat like that, actually.
I'm sure you do. Because during this era of throwbacks, that's one of the...
It's like a retro...
Right.
Yeah.
That's been one of the logos that has popped up as part of the throwbacks. I just get... My stomach turns.
You don't like it?
Well, they were 5-9 that season, and that was a really bad football team. Okay? Craig Morton was the starting quarterback. Walker Gillette was our best wide receiver. Okay? Joe Dawkins was our leading running back. That was the final season of Spider Lockhart. I mean, it was not.
The jerseys don't look bad.
It was not.
I see the logo could throw you off a little bit. The jerseys look like kind of the throwbacks.
Yeah, but see,
these are the throwbacks that the Giants wear now. The color rush.
Okay, but the problem was it was the ugly football that was even worse.
Oh yeah, that make everything look ugly.
Okay,
that make everything look ugly.
So and believe me, Shea Stadium, it was real grass. So that field that year,
it was all chopped up, wasn't it?
The Mets and Yankees both played there for baseball. So up until the end of September, and the Jets and Giants both played there for football. That field was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it was all dirt.
Horrible. Yeah. Dirt, mud, frozen mud.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And the quality of the games was impacted also by the field. It was just dreadful.
Yeah.
Dreadful.
We had my high school football stadium, Memorial Stadium, over in New Brunswick, New Jersey. We had a grass field. Now it's turf now. But back then, we had the grass field, and you got varsity football playing. Mm-hmm. You got JV. You got freshman football playing. You also have soccer, varsity, and junior varsity. Mm-hmm. And you have all of Pop Warner playing on the same field. So by October, the second month of the season, the field is it starts like with little brown spots.
Yeah. Always starts that way.
And then mid-October, November, half the field is completely brown.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's really bad. But we looked fast, and we won a lot of games in that field.
Hey, winning is always the Band-Aid, yeah, right?
For sure.
Always.
But that's why for these jerseys, I'm indifferent. If the Giants win with these jerseys on, I'm sure I'm going to feel a lot better about them. But if they lose...
All right. Final thought. and I'm going to get Jonathan's response here, and then we're going to go to your phones or your calls. The lines are open. 201-939-4513. Please, we're looking for your reaction to the uniforms. We're looking for your reaction to the schedule, okay? And, oh, by the way, our own Pearson over there, opposite the camera, our very crack producer who just does a kick-butt job every single day, he is the very studious gentleman in our schedule reveal that came out this past week. So please, don't be afraid to go to YouTube and leave your comments about the erstwhile Pearson Butler who donned the microphone for this very special assignment. His interview with the Pigeon was particularly impressive.
The first thing I said when I came in, I was like, "Hey man, I just watched you on Instagram," and I was like, "I didn't know your hair was that big," because he always has a hat on.
He does.
Every time I come in here, he always has a hat on. Only time I seen him with it off is when he takes it off real quick, slicks it back, and he got the helmet here, so it's like flat.
Okay.
I didn't know his hair was so big.
It was humid that day. Right? It just expands.
So go to the Giants YouTube page, please. Click on Pearson's video. And by all means, if you want to see more Pearson, please let us know.
I'm down.
There's plenty of room there for the comments. Yep. You know, we're good with that.
Pearson's the man, too. Let me let you know. He's the man. He don't say too much. He chimes in every now and again. But he does a good job here, making sure we look like we know what we're doing, but he's the guy that makes everything go.
Productive.
So shout out to Pearson.
I can't even tell you how many times he will throw a life preserver to save somebody.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's the human life preserver, Pearson Butler. Of course, he's also a Bruins and Celtics fan, but we don't really want to talk about
Eastern
that
Conference Finals. Let's go.
Well, and go New York, go New York,
yeah,
go.
We're
going to kick your butt twice
tomorrow
in the NBA and the NHL.
Tomorrow, right?
All right, before we go to the calls, again, there's a line open, 201-939-4513. Giants open the 2024 season at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Folks, I actually remember the last time that happened back in 1969 at Yankee Stadium when Frank Tarkenton threw a couple of late touchdown passes to Don Herman, and the Giants actually beat Minnesota here in New York. This will be the first time they've had a season opener against the Vikings since '69. So it's a rare oddity. My only question to you, as we get ready for the phone calls, did it ever matter to you whether or not you opened with a divisional opponent or a rival, or was it totally indifferent? Did you not care?
Yeah, I didn't really care. Even though those in-division games, they almost count as double because, you know, you win one in division and you give a team in your division a loss. It didn't matter, man. Like you, as soon as the schedule got released, you know, and we're doing it too. We're going to focus on Minnesota for the next few months because that's the opening game. Just like the players are focusing on Minnesota. Of course, they're looking ahead to the division, of course, but you got to be ready for that first game, week one, whoever that opponent is. And now that you have the opponent, now you prepare your offseason to open up against the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy led Minnesota Vikings, which is going to be interesting.
Sam Darnold might have something to say about that.
I agree, but
opening day?
What pick was he?
It doesn't matter.
It does.
If he's not ready, not ready.
That's what truly matters. That's what truly matters. But, I mean, from the things I've heard, and that was somebody that the Giants, there was a little rumors about the Giants possibly doing something draft day, right, to move up to get this kid, right?
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Right, it didn't happen.
Because obviously they were not that interested in him.
Right. Maybe they just threw it out there just to get the buzz, right? Just to get the buzz going.
Look, they got weapons, though, on that team.
Yes, that's what I was.
What they don't have right now is a pass rush.
That's what I was going to lead to. The guy on the outside, I think you can call him either 1A or 1B as a top receiver in the league, in Justin Jefferson. He reminds me of a young OBJ when I got to New York, and I would go to other teams that we played, like Tampa. I don't know if I told you about this story. The year after I got here to New York, we play in Tampa. So I'm in New York. We're playing in Tampa. I'm in the end zone stretching, and I was just in Tampa the year prior with, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I see some of the defensive backs. They see me in the end zone. They come over, JC, what's up? We just shooting stuff, right? And I was like, hey, man, I just want to let y'all know, man, like, I hope y'all got a game plan for number 13 because that dude is different. And I used to tell people like, yo, like just letting y'all know he's a different type of cat over there. That's what Justin Jefferson is. Yeah. He's that. He's a different type of cat.
Neighbors kind of fits that category too.
I mean, he has to prove it. He has to prove it.
He does.
Justin Jefferson came in this league as a lot of these LSU young receivers come in and they just literally take the league by storm. And Odell did it. Odell's running mate did it. What's his name? The kid that played in Cleveland for a while. Landry did it.
Jarvis Landry.
Justin Jefferson did it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ruben Randall.
Chase.
Right, Jamar Chase did it. Ruben Randall, back in the day, he kind of did it too early on.
One really good year. He had over 800 yards one season.
You know, so some about these LSU receivers, you know, these young receivers.
Like
and
Penn State linebackers.
Yeah, they come into the league ready to go. They're ready. They're route ready. They're savvy. They have the catch radius, the catchability to go get it, the spectacular catch, the moves after catch. And Neighbors fits in that category. So it'll be a good, you know, to see who's the better LSU receiver week one, the guy that's been doing it for a few years and the new guy that would just pick that number 6.
I'll put my money on the Giants pass rush over what Minnesota has now because their top 2 pass rushers from last year are gone.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Especially in this day and age when it comes to applying pressure to the quarterback.
All right, so we have talked about the Century Red uniforms, which is the official name of this hybrid throwback.
I like the name, though. I like the name.
That's the name. So we've talked about that. We talked about opening day against the Vikings. We'll get more into the schedule a little bit later on, but I see the calls are lighting up, so we're going to go to the phone lines at 201-939-4513 and get your reaction. We're going to start with Alex in Tampa. You're first on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for taking my call today.
Sure.
What's going on, Alex?
Hey, so I'm going to a couple quick points real quick and a couple predictions. First, I like the helmets. They remind me of Michigan, except with red and blue instead of red and yellow. Mm-hmm. Not so hot on red is the dominant color, but red is my favorite color, so I guess I'm a little indifferent on that like Jonathan. Second, we 2 years ago we handled Jefferson in the playoffs with our defense, so I'm not too concerned on him, and I'm looking forward to see how Neighbors competes with Jefferson in the first week of the season. I also hope they play their rookie quarterback. That would be nice. I somewhat doubt that they're going to put him in on the first game of the season. I think he's more of a project. But my main point is I'm really looking forward to really watching the offensive and defensive lines this year. I want to see if our defense can stop the run, which we struggled at last year. And then the offense, you know, not only just improving, but I'm a little concerned we don't really have a good solution or a backup for left tackle. I think we've got some depth at guard and right tackle, but should something happen, I think we could suffer some of the same challenges we had last year. I'd love your thoughts when I get off. Predictions for this year, I think we will sweep the Redskins again. I think we'll be 4-6 in the division. We will win a game for the first time in many years against the Cowboys. And I'm going to predict it's Thanksgiving Day. We'll lose at home, but we'll win in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. And really enjoy all the content you guys have had of late. I know it's kind of the slow part, but go Big Blue. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for the call.
He meant 4-2 in the division.
Yeah, and I think he also meant the Commanders.
Yeah.
But I get it. Trust me. John likes to remind me all the time, you can't call them the other name anymore. I'm like, well, but when you refer to the old team, you have to.
Because you're talking about.
That was their name.
Yeah, when I played the Commanders, they were the Redskins.
Right.
So when I refer to my playing days.
Played for the Redskins.
When I talk about my playing
John Riggins
days,
played for the Redskins.
I talk about the Redskins because that's the Washington team that I played for.
I still call them the football team.
That was like, what, 2 years they had that name for?
WFT. 3 years, I think.
3 years?
Man.
That was interesting.
Anyway, all right, let's address the left tackle spot. Going into the draft, I had thought that if they didn't take a flyer on a tackle project late, that they would potentially bring in, if they could, another veteran. Because right now, Matt Nelson, the former Detroit Lion, would be the next man up at tackle, at the swing spot. Now, this, of course, assumes that you're going to use Elmanor at guard because Neal and Thomas are going to be your starting tackles. Right? That's the best case scenario for the Giants, is that Illuminor becomes a guard. He becomes the right guard, and Neal's your right tackle, and Thomas is your left tackle. If that's the case, right now, Matt Nelson, the former Lion, is your swing tackle.
Right or left? You're talking about
He's
right.
your swing.
Yeah, you're talking about
Either
right
way.
or left tackle.
Either way.
First guy in the game, right or left tackle.
Now, John said to me, well, Illuminor would probably move out. If one of the tackles got hurt, Illuminor would probably move out the tackle. And then I said, but John, here's the one problem with that. And I understand it. The problem is now you got to sub out two spots instead of only one.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes coaches are very reluctant to do that.
Yeah. So you think right now Illuminor is going to be the right guard as
That's
of right
what
now?
I think.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think the competition for O-line will be at that right tackle position between Illuminor and Evan Neal. And I'm looking at this roster. I don't know. And nothing's set in stone, right? Of
course not.
There's no official rosters,
not.
right? Or projected, because that's the only you do, project, right? There's no projected rosters. I think the battle will come at right tackle because I think we understand who we have at left tackle. I think we understand who we have at center. The guards, for me, I would put them, I wouldn't say secondary, but I think you have to solidify the right tackle position. And if that's going to be an improved Evan Neal, I think that's what everybody will be happy about.
Sure.
Evan Neal will be happy about it. I know the coaches will be happy about that. The fans will be happy about if Evan Neal can increase his play a lot better than he's shown the last 2 years, and actually solidify that right tackle position and give, I think, Illuminor, bump him inside to play that right guard position. And I think if it works the opposite way, if Illuminor beats Evan Neal out for the right tackle position, I don't see Evan Neal being a backup. I see them trying him at a guard spot.
Okay.
That's what I see happening.
Runyon to be the left guard, right?
Right. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of who may get picked up between now and opening day, I'm still thinking that there may be somebody out there, some veteran out there who might get set free, who they might want to consider bringing in to at least compete with Matt Nelson as a potential option so that you could avoid making two moves if your tackle goes down.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, because you had to bump a guy over, then move a guy, elevate a guy. Yeah.
I always believe, if at all possible, and sometimes it's not possible, try to minimize the number of moves you have to make due to an injury.
Understood. Yep. Understood.
So,
yeah, but I mean, it all depends.
Matt Nelson, to me, doesn't deserve to just have that spot by himself. He should have to compete for it.
Yes, 100%. I think besides the left tackle spot, all these jobs should be competitive jobs, because I think the only person that has proved that he's a stalwart right now on this entire roster, let's go offense. I'm not going to go defense because I think it's not the same thing on defense. On offense, I think the only person that has solidified himself as a guy that can make it to the Pro Bowl if he has a healthy year, I think is Andrew Thomas, right? So those guys, not to say that they're not competing because they are, but it's a little bit different when you show up in training camp knowing that your job is your job.
Yes.
It's a huge difference.
Absolutely.
And if you can go probably man for man, nobody has that security as an Andrew Thomas, which I believe is good. Because now in training camp, it's like, I got to perform at a very high level to make sure I solidify the job that I think is mine. Because Andrew Thomas, I think the only one that knows that is his job. Everybody else is like, I believe this is my job, but I have to go out and secure it. Not to say Andrew Thomas is not going to practice hard, but it's a little different mindset. And it's a great mindset to have to keep the competition alive, which I think brings out the best in everybody involved.
No question. Back to the lines, 201-939-4513. Rob from Yonkers, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
How you guys doing? Good morning or good afternoon.
Hi.
What's up, Rob?
How you doing? All right, so Jonathan Casillas, you had a couple weeks ago, you said something that you will only put two running backs, that you will only pick two running backs in front of Saquon Barkley, but you never got to say who they were.
Right now, I mean, I think you got to go probably McCaffrey.
Okay.
To pick another guy over him, from what Derrick Henry has done, possibly depends on what type of offense you will run. I would have to go through them again because I said it at the time. I probably had the two of mine. But I know McCaffrey would probably be number one, and then possibly Derrick Henry, given the type of offense that I want to run. But, I mean, Saquon's the do-everything type of guy like a McCaffrey, and he's improved, I believe, as a pass pro guy. So that means you can have him in all 3 downs and don't even wear it. You can give him carries on first and second. You can get him out the backfield on third, and you can also keep him in for protection. And, look, I love his game, and I like the way he is off the field. I told Paul about the experience I had with him the first time I ever met him. We were up in Fort Lee doing some Play 60 stuff with kids, and I saw his character for the first time before I saw him play a game in the NFL, and I was a believer in him from the beginning. And then I watched him play, and I was like, bro, this is not only a solid dude, I always fought for him as a man, as a human being, because I know the type of person he is. So I don't know those other guys, but for me, in terms of talent and stuff like that, there's nobody really better than him besides of McCaffrey, because of Derrick Henry. And these are solid guys that's played a good amount of football in this league and are proven guys that have done it for years and years and years. Saquon has been inconsistent with his injuries, but I still take him mostly probably over any other running backs besides the 2 guys I named. And that might be given what type of offense we run in.
Okay. I have one more thing for Paul, and then I'm going to talk about the offense, and I'll take it off.
Yeah.
Paul, you guys spoke about Marvel not too long ago as well, and who would Thibodeau be? I agree with you, Iron Man, because Iron Man is very cocky, and Thibodeau is very cocky. So I definitely agree with Thibodeau. I got one more guy for you, Thanos. Because Thanos was basically the destroyer of worlds, and I feel Thibodeau could be the destroyer of all other teams.
Snap his finger.
That's what I feel.
Well, the other day, if you caught the show, he apparently told Steve Serby of the New York Post that he's Black Panther. So if that's what he's going to call himself, then I'm going to tip my cap and I will call him Black Panther.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that. And real thing about the offense, real quick. The offense is only going to do as much as as they protect the quarterback. If they protect Daniel Jones, we're good to go. The only thing, if we keep going 3 and out, we have a good defense. But if we keep going 3 and out, you're going to get our defense tired, and then defense is not going to be able to do anything either. And I'll take my questions off the air. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Rob. Appreciate the phone call. 201-939-4513. Lines are open. Again, we could talk about the schedule. We could talk about the jerseys and the uniforms. One thing I will say, Jonathan, and I don't know if we've actually had this conversation with you before, but we know the Giants have tried to upgrade their offensive line, but at the same time, they've also upgraded their pass rush by getting Brian Burns in the trade from the Panthers. As a defensive player, you go into the season and you know the offense has been challenged. How much aware are you of the transactions, of the upgrades they've made? And do you think about that as you go into the season and into training camp saying, I really want to take a look at what this offense is going to do because we know they need to be better? Does that is it cognizant with you? Does it weigh on your mind? Is it something you actively think about as you get ready for camp?
You talking about me?
When
I played.
When you were a defensive player.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%, because at the end of the day, like, I always felt like, not that it's my team, but it's my team. It's my family. You know what I mean? Like, I have, my part I have to do, but I also want to make sure the guys that are doing their parts are there and we have the right pieces. Not that I could do anything about it, but I definitely was aware of who was playing offensive line and, who was I going against. Like, I remember, my first year playing for the New Orleans Saints, I made it my duty to learn every single body on the offensive line. You had Bushrod, you had Jari Evans, like you had a Goody in the middle, you had Stinchcomb. Like, I knew everybody, right away. And I don't know if that was just me or what, but I wanted to be very well aware of who I was going against at training camp and practice, and then who was going to be representing us during the season. And for me, I was always well prepared going against any opponent as well too. So I don't know if that was just me, but I definitely knew, and then also, like, when I got to New York, and the Giants brought in Olivier Vernon. They brought in Jack Rabbit on the defensive side. Like, I not only knew what position they were playing, I knew how much money they were making. Like, you know what I'm saying? I knew about all of that stuff. I was very in the loop about everything. I made sure I learned about all of that stuff.
Okay, so now training camp starts, and we'll talk about this more when we get to July, but let me just run this by you quickly now. So you were curious, and you wanted to know about the guys you were going to go up against on the other side of the ball, but you also wanted to know about the guys who were going to be on your side of the ball, too.
Going in battle with me.
Which of those two things were you more curious about?
I think it depends on the time of the year. You know, as you're approaching this time of the year, we're not really worried about an opponent quite yet. So I'm definitely worried about the roster, who's on the roster. You know, like I said, I can't do nothing about it.
Right.
I never had a say on who they're bringing in, but I was definitely curious. I wanted to know everything. You know, so when I did, you know, talk to my dad, who's a huge Giants fan all his life, I talked to my dad. He brings up somebody's name. I got something to tell him about him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so it wasn't really like, it didn't really matter per se in terms of my ability to perform on the field or my preparation or anything like that. But I always wanted to know things like that. I always wanted to know who I was going into battle with, you know, and have some type of personal relationship with them, whether it was high and by or I would sit down and eat with them at lunchtime. You know, like, that's why you see me now. Like, I speak to every single person in this building. You know, a lot of people in this building know who I am, you know, and it's not just the players. I barely know the players because all the players are new.
They change.
But the staff, the front desk guys, every single person in that cafeteria, I know all of them by name. I know the cleaning people. Like, I know the video guys. Like, I know the trainers, of course. I know everybody, not everybody, but I know a lot of people in this building, and I've always been like that. I'm a people person, and for me, it's like, if I can help you out in any type of way, boom, and then vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, we're all a team.
Right, we're all a team, and it's the whole building, you know? So for me, you know, I took that very seriously when I played ball, from when I was a young kid till I got older. That's something I'm trying to instill in my daughter. You know, she's kind of I got friends on my team, and then I got my teammates. And I'm like, I understand, but like, they all need to be your sisters.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and then on top of that, you can't hold on to them forever because they're not going to be your sisters forever. Like,
Right.
you're real. She got two little sisters, but they're you know, metaphorically your sisters. They're metaphorically your family.
Right.
And not to say you don't have favorites and stuff like that, but you don't treat them differently. You treat them the same. You treat them with respect. You treat them all the same way because that's what you want to be treated, you know, as a teammate, as a family member on this team that you're playing in. And I always carried that on me. You know, I don't know what it was, but I always carried it on me. I always carried, you know, like, I wouldn't, like, you know, offensive line and defensive guys, they don't really hang out much.
No.
But if I would see an offensive lineman, that's my brother. Not that he played linebacker with me, it's my brother. Yeah. Levante David, all my linebackers, we're friends forever. But like a Stinchcomb or a Jari Evans or Bushrod, like, those are my brothers too. You know, even they're on the other side of the ball. We maybe not hung out, you know, during the season, but if I see him out, I'm embracing him, giving him a big hug. Yeah, it's the same jersey. We're the same family. You're just not one of my favorite brothers. You know, you're one of my brothers.
I will say this, and we'll talk about this topic as we get closer to training camp. I will say this. I would be very surprised if Brian Daboll and the defensive staff are not instructing the Giants' defensive front to give this new rebuilt offensive line as much as they can handle during training camp.
You have to, though.
Because they need to get those guys ready as quickly as they possibly can and to get them playing up. It's going to be huge. And those defensive players are going to be responsible to help do that, for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Doubt.
Listen, the reason why the NFL is so great, because every single person on the roster, on the staff, they deserve to be in the NFL. You get prodded and tested since you were a little kid, you know, all throughout high school. Then you get to college, and then they test you over and over and over again. And literally, they test you. They take you to combine. They got the new test that they're doing. They had the old test that I was doing back in the day. Like, they have so many different things that you can't get to the NFL by mistake. You can't get to the NFL by mistake. Maybe you're not on the level of certain other guys, but everybody's a proven commodity when they get to the NFL. But then there's also levels, right? I
No
get to the
doubt.
NFL,
No
the
doubt.
first running back that I had to guard was Reggie Bush. The first guy.
Welcome.
And just 3 years ago, I got his poster on my wall. Like, I'm a big USC fan. He's a Heisman winner. Like,
Welcome.
So for me, I always loved going against great competition, not only for myself, but to make sure I got them prepared as well.
All right, 201-939-4513. Quickly, we go back to line 1. Joseph in the Bronx, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hello, how you guys doing?
We're well. How are you?
Not bad. So my question for you guys is, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but so with the rebuild of, that's what I'm gonna call it, is a rebuild of the offense now, because we now rebuilding our offensive line, our running backs, just our offense in general. Where do you think we stand to? Because I heard you saying something about us thinking about picking up a new veteran or a veteran off the free agency block once somebody is released. Where do you think we stand in offense, our offensive line, matching up with every other 31 teams in the NFL, as far as winning games?
All right. Well, Joseph, I will say this. What I'm suggesting is that the radar should be active and on for a potential tackle pickup to enhance the competition and depth at the spot. That's my premise. Now, you may or may not agree. I don't know. Jonathan, I think you kind of do.
Yeah, why not? I always think the more talent, the more competition at a position, especially if it comes from a veteran who has experience in the NFL, I think that's invaluable.
And they have a lot of guys, by the way, numbers on the inside.
And look,
a lot of numbers.
Just look what Pugh brought to the team last year. And look, Pugh will tell you, Pugh was 280 pounds. He was 20, 30 pounds lighter than he normally played at for that position. But then he came in, as he said, straight off the couch, and he gave a boost. His play wasn't, I think, up to par, but his mentality was there, his camaraderie was there, and he made sure those guys were hanging out. That's what a veteran does. And it's invaluable to bring in a veteran like that.
Will he be back next year?
At this point, no. Right? He's a free agent and has not signed anywhere. I know he has said he'd like to come back, but I don't know what the future holds for him. But the intangibles was certainly evident.
Yes.
When he came to the team.
The play, the play was exactly what you would think it would be from a guy that's been sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? Who's a little bit undersized.
I'll tell you what, that game against Buffalo, the primetime game against the Bills, he goes in there and plays the whole game.
Yeah. Was that his first game?
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. You got to tip your hat to somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely do.
It was ridiculous. He started and played the whole game after the previous game he had gotten in some, but he was gassed. He knew.
He showed us a lot, not just on the field, but how you handle the media. Which is, we had a problem in that room. In that room, somebody said something about in the media, and he got some criticism. When you play for the New York Giants and you're not playing well, you're going to get criticized. That's just what it is. Mm-hmm. That's how it is. Every single player on the roster was criticized last year. Listen to Pugh's interviews. He was tremendous.
He was.
And you watch that as a younger guy. When I came into the league, I would watch the older guys speak to the media. And I'm like, all right, man, they was testing you with that question, but I see how you kind of play that off.
Joseph, I appreciate the phone call.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Joey from the Bronx.
One other item quickly, just to build off of his offensive line question. I've been telling people that you could make a very strong case for offensive line coach Carmen Brasillo being the most valuable acquisition for the offensive line room.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's huge. It is. Yep. He has a lot of experience. Illuminor spoke very highly about him.
Very highly of him.
And
a
I've
disciple
heard
of Dante Sarnecchia.
Yep.
With the Patriots, who is one of the greatest offensive line coaches that ever lived.
Well, we got to put it to work, and it's hard. And only thing we could do right now is speculate, predict, guess, hypothesize about what's going to happen during the season.
We don't really know who the starting five are going to be.
We don't, and we don't know how they're going to perform, or we don't know their health, because last year you look at the Giants week 1, not the whole thing, but Your best player on offense goes down in Andrew Thomas, the Pro Bowl
on a field
left
goal.
tackle.
On a field goal.
Very early in the first game. So it's like stuff like that. Just like when you look at the Jets. The Jets, they're projected to be competitive in their division. All of a sudden, 4 plays into the game, their quarterback goes down. Like, you can't predict none of these things. You can't predict who's going to get hurt, when they're going to get hurt. What you do know is somebody's going to get hurt at some time because that's football. And it's sad to say out loud, and I hate saying it out loud, but it's the truth.
Well,
and the Giants have to be prepared for it. That's why you bring in solid backups. That's why you bring in a swing right tackle or a swing tackle that can play both sides. You have to prepare for one of your best players going down at any time of the year.
Perhaps the best way to equate this is that we all know at some point in time we're going to get a flat tire.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can never predict when it's going to be.
At all. Who it's going to be, when, and how many tires you're going to lose, because sometimes you might lose multiple tires.
I'm telling
you.
Better
have a spare, though. You better have a spare.
And that's the only contingency plan you can have. Have that donut or have a spare.
Ready to go.
But at some point, you're going to get a flat tire.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you will not expect when it happens.
Right. It's never at a great time. Like, that was a good time that this guy got hurt. Never.
I don't know.
Never said that ever.
I don't think I've ever heard a person actually exclaim, "Oh, that was a good time to get that flat. Boy, I was really happy that it happened then." Jeff from Maine, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Oh, hey, afternoon, gentlemen.
Good to talk to you.
So I'm actually liking Minnesota the first game. I'm like with John. I hate to see Dallas the first game all the time.
Yeah.
So that should be really fun. I've actually got a follow-up question from last week about Drew Lock. If I could, I'd mentioned that I thought he was like an upgrade due mostly to durability. I actually agree with Jonathan that I think right now Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than him. But my question is, since he is he's bigger and younger, and we have great quarterback coaches, do you think he might eventually have a higher ceiling than Taylor?
He can. I believe so. It all depends on what he does moving forward, of course. Tyrod, if it wasn't for injuries, Tyrod Taylor, I think, would be a starting quarterback somewhere in the NFL. Injuries set you back, whether it's, a play here and there or a game or a season. It happens to everyone. I love Tyrod, and I always speak highly of him. Not just he's a great quarterback, he's a great professional. How he handled coming in and out of the lineup, how he talked to the media, like he's a true pro. But Drew Lock, the upside is there, the potential is there, but it all depends on what happens. If the guy is good enough to, dethrone Daniel Jones from the quarterback of the New York Football Giants and play, I think that says a lot to who he is, if he can do something like that. Because, look, I don't see Daniel Jones, I don't know who name I was about to say just now. I don't see Daniel Jones showing the little bit that we saw from him in 2023. I feel like that wasn't really who he is. I think it was sporadic. I don't think he threw the ball as well as we've seen in the past. I don't think he made that great decisions. 2022 for me is what I remember from Daniel Jones. And if he can come back to that form and Drew Lock can beat that guy out, that says a lot about Drew Lock, and the Giants will win some games because of that. I don't know how it's going to work out. My hat is in for Daniel Jones. I hope he's healthy because the Giants need great quarterback play to have success. And I'm not talking about winning a couple games, possibly, being available late in the year and big. I'm talking about getting to the playoffs like they did in 2022 and winning 1 or 2 playoff games.
Well, that's where the playmakers are now. They're in the passing game because of the targets he can throw to. There is no longer a franchise running back here.
Right.
It's now a running back by committee. So the big-time plays, the difference-making plays will have to come from the quarterback and his targets.
Yep.
They're going to have to now. That's just the way it is, the way the team has been built now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a big Daniel Jones fan. I think he's going to have a great year. But even under the best circumstances, the backup's going to have to come in and play probably a couple games,
Never
so
can
just
tell.
thinking that maybe, yeah, I'm just thinking maybe Locke could be good, with the quarterback coaches that we have and stuff, and be at least functional, but maybe even win us some games. 'Cause I think it's going to take a whole quarterback room, maybe even the third stringer too a little bit.
Let's not hope it gets to the third string. That's never good when you get to the third string quarterback.
Appreciate the phone call. 201-939-4513. Quick before we go to Abdul, I know you're on the line. We'll get to you in 30 seconds. I talked to a longtime veteran offensive coordinator who has since retired. he saw Drew Lock's game last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know our Seattle media person, when we were talking about the Washington Huskies, came on, and he did not like Drew Lock at all and poo-pooed the game against the Eagles and said, he had one good quarter in the fourth quarter. I talked to this longtime football guy. He's a lifer. And he said to me, I saw that game. There was a lot to work with. If I were an offensive coordinator in the league today, I would not mind having him in my quarterback room because I saw enough of tools there that would make me excited. I think I could win with him. I'm just offering that to you, and that's I'm not going to name names, but that's from somebody who I have tremendous respect for. And if he felt that way, it's probably very likely that's one of the reasons why Brian Daboll was okay with signing him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know too much about him, Drew Lock, but I will come to training camp. I will get my eyes on him. I will see how he handles not only the media, but, the pass rush early. I want to see all of these things. And, it's hard for me to make because I haven't watched too much film on the guy because he doesn't really have too much film out there.
Well, if you get a chance, go back into the NFL Plus and watch last year's game against the Eagles and see what you think.
Yeah, I will.
Abdul from Minnesota. How about that? Playing the Vikings opening day, we got Abdul on the line here. Hello.
I am so excited about that. I wish it was in Minnesota because, I could go to the game.
Did you go to the playoff game? Were you at the playoff game?
I was there, and I was so loud.
Nice.
It was a beautiful, beautiful day. Love being there.
It was a great day. The thing about Minnesota fans, they are so friendly. And so it was a pleasure. It was a friendly rivalry.
I could do without that horn, though. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
The horn is just a big, fat headache.
They did the skull. They did do the
skull.
Yeah,
oh, they sure did. They sure did.
Guys, that's pretty cool.
Guys, they have fake snow in the building, too.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yep. It blows out during the horn. It's like fake snow. It's
is that why? I thought it was confetti.
No, it's fake snow. It melts.
Okay. Really? I didn't even realize
I didn't know that
either. Thank goodness it didn't get down to the field. I was on the sideline. But that horn could be heard, I think, 3 states away. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right, but that's their vibe. They're Vikings.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's a cool,
Boy, it was really quiet after the Giants beat them in the playoff game, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, very pleasantly so. Very pleasantly so. But anyway, I called for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
First reason is I really like the New Jerseys in context of celebrating the 100th year anniversary. It makes complete sense. I dig it. That's it. Right. Anyway, so second of all, it's more of a broader topic. Drew Lock was a first-round draft pick, right?
Second round. He was a second. He was a number 2. Number 2.
Right. Okay. Anyway, this might go. Jonathan, I'm forgetting. Is that your name?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think makes what makes a person who has like Jeff George, who has all the talents in the world, but what makes them a bust? You know what I mean? Or what makes people who have less talent become okay? I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the map here, but Jim Plunkett proved everyone wrong. He was a first-round bust. Then years later, came back and won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
What happened to Jim Plunkett?
Well, look, from what I can speak to, from my experience being around, I think 3 of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play football, Eli Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees.
You were pretty lucky, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. When you look at these guys on paper and even the ability to throw the football, Tom Brady and Eli Manning, they're not too far apart. They're tall guys with big arms, can look over, not really athletic guys, but are really good in the pocket. Drew Brees, he doesn't fit that mold. He's 6 foot. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a strong arm. And he threw for 5,000 yards, 5 times in his career. He broke every single passing record. The reason why, and this is me because I watched him do it, is number 1, the preparation that he has, the ability to understand what he's doing before he goes out there and do it, the ability to understand who he's going against and what's required for him to do. And then the ultimate measure is the ability to perform. That's the two measurements: the preparation, the ability to understand what you're actually doing, and then going out there and actually performing. Because there are guys that are book smart, and I say book smart, like classroom, they know everything. Oh, I will go here with the ball, and this. When I get this coverage, I will go here. But then you can be that, but you have to perform. And it's vice versa. Some guys aren't that book smart. They're not going to be like, oh, I need to go here, cover 3, I need to do this, and blah, 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 blah. They're not doing all that, but then they go out there and perform. The whole thing to, I think, longevity in a career is having the preparation, the book smarts, and, before you go out there. But then the ultimate measure is the ability to perform. That what it ultimately comes down to.
How about coaching?
All of that's involved. I'm talking about specific players, right? Like Andy Reid and Mahomes wouldn't have been the Mahomes that we see without Andy Reid. Tom Brady wouldn't have been the player that he was for 20 years without Bill Belichick. Just like Drew Brees matching up with Sean Payton. It does matter, but at the end of the day, it matters the preparation of the individual player and the performance of the individual player, regardless of coach, regardless of situation, regardless of team.
I think what he's saying basically is that there are mandatory starting points.
Yes.
And then other things that surround you and your environment can be factors, but you got to have a core list of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a great example. Jesse Palmer was all pro in 7-on-7. But his NFL career was short-lived and didn't really amount to a whole lot.
Yeah, got to perform.
But man, 7-on-7, he was awesome.
There's so many examples of Ryan Leaf, Jeff George, just all these players had great physical skills, had everything on paper, right? The height, whatever. But just something about them didn't make it, and I've always found that really interesting. While you see people who don't have all the measurements come in and just crush,
sure.
I think Drew Brees. It's just a fascinating thing that I found about sports in general. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys listening to me babble.
No doubt.
You guys take care, man.
Thanks for the call.
There's something to that though. Like when I first walked into my first meeting, Drew Brees took over the meeting, and I was confused because I didn't know players ran meetings at all, And he ran a meeting, telling us everybody what's going on,
right.
What Sean, calling Sean by his first name, all this stuff was brand new to me. First day I got introduced to it. But then after the years go by and you start looking back at all of the success that that really good players have had in the league, it goes hand in hand with preparation and performance. It goes hand in hand. And it doesn't matter. I was on Tampa, right? In Tampa, we weren't good. We won 3 games my first year. And by the time I got traded my second year, we won 1 game.
Who was your quarterback then?
It was Josh Freeman.
Oh, wow.
And what's his name? The kid that played here a few years ago, the tall kid, long neck. They make fun of him.
Oh, Glennon.
Mike Glennon. I was going to say Gannon for some reason. Mike Glennon. Those are our 2 quarterbacks. Levante David has been an all-pro type of player since he's been in the league.
Yes.
And the defense has been up and down. The team has been up and down, but not his performances. Mm-hmm. Levante David has been a great player since he came into the NFL.
Terrific.
No matter how good the team is doing. Preparation and performance.
Yeah.
He was prepared for every single game. First of all, I'm a cocky guy, right? I think, especially when it came to football, I felt like I was one of the best will linebackers in the NFL. Then I got to Tampa. I said, okay, I'm not playing in front of that guy ever. I watched him on film. Levante David was a different type of cat because not only did he perform, he was very smart, but when he went out there, he would do things on the field that I'd never done in my life. And there's something about them South Florida guys that play football all their life.
Okay.
They do things a little bit differently, like a Vilma, like a Levante David.
Right.
These guys are different, and I will humbly say that. But at the end of the day, what made me good, because I prepared and I performed. What made Levante David good and probably a Hall of Fame career, because he was prepared, and then he performed regardless of what was going on around him, in front of him or behind him.
Been a fun show, folks. Want to remind you, the Giants Huddle podcast with the initial reaction John Schmelk and I had gone through yesterday, a full almost 20 minutes, right, Pearson? detailing some of the strategies and some of the logistics involved in the Giants' 2024 schedule. Really, we didn't get into doing much of that today outside of the opening game against Minnesota, but there's a lot of interesting quirks and little idiosyncrasies about the schedule that we got into. It's on the Giants Huddle podcast, or I believe, did we call it Instant Reaction, First Reaction?
Yeah, it's video on Giants.com, and then it's on the Giants Huddle podcast as audio as well.
And is it also up on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay, so it's there as well. All your favorite podcast platforms. That's just the latest one of our long forms that goes up on the Giants Huddle, where you get all those interviews with former players, coaches, and NFL people around the league. So that's there. Don't forget to go there. You can go through the Giants YouTube site. Season ticket memberships are available right now for the 2024 season. Why not get to see these commemorative uniforms in person? Maybe they'll look even better when you see them up close and personal. And the Giants, well, if they win with those, man, you're going to love them. Season ticket memberships are available at giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is right now up through the site. Also, Giants TV on the apps. You can go through Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app and get all the kind of stuff that you need. Remember, folks, giants.com and the YouTube site. You got your schedule release video. You got all the details on the 100th season of Giants football. You got all the information on the commemorative, historical, throwback jerseys. Okay, it's all there. It's all there. The stuff about Hard Knocks, which, by the way, we didn't talk about that at all. Hard Knocks out of season version of Hard Knocks. Yeah. Very unique. All right? That's the third version now of Hard Knocks. There was training camp version. There was in-season version. This is now off-season version. So much stuff on Giants.com and all of the Giants social media platforms. You know what? If you got half a day off, it's raining out, you don't know what to do with yourself, there's so much there to see.
Yeah.
If you love the football Giants, there's a lot of stuff you can take in and enjoy the weekend. Go Knicks, go Rangers. For Jonathan Casillas, I'm Paul Dottino. This has been Big Blue Kickoff Live. We'll see you next time. It is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants. So long, everybody.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With the new Dexcom G7, you can achieve better diabetes results without painful finger sticks. It sends your glucose numbers to your compatible phone or watch, so you can always see where you are and where you're heading. See how food and exercise affects your glucose, making it easier to spend more time in range and lower your A1C. Take control of your diabetes with the #1 recommended CGM brand. It's easy to get started today at Dexcom.com. That's Dexcom.com.
Dexcom data on file 2023. If your glucose alerts and readings from the G7 do not match symptoms or expectations, use a blood glucose meter to make diabetes treatment decisions. For a list of compatible devices, visit Dexcom.com/compatibility.